Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be talking about something that my heart beats after, and that is children. Anybody who has history with me will tell that I love kids. And recently I became a father myself. We need to teach our kids certain values early in life so that they can begin to build the concept of self. Most of the decay we're experiencing in our society today is largely a translation of the devaluation of family values. We can see that kids are taking their lives at alarming rates. We can see that there is no generation that is as entitled as this generation that we are breeding now. We can see a lot of sexual perversion, a lot of people going into, extremism just to prove their points. And I feel like all this chaos and all this trouble are largely because of the failure of the family system. I was raised in a very, very disciplinary family household. I will be honest to admit that I did not like all my father's disciplinary action, but then growing older, I have come to realize that some of those things, some of those measures that he taught me and set in place were for my best interest. Being a father is one of the most amazing ministry and responsibility that anybody can have. But the truth about the matter is, while raising them, you need to see them as a future investment that you are going to reap the benefits in the future. I know a lot of people don't really like that line of argument, but it's actually true. I am my parents' future investment. I just cut off the phone with my mom, and I know for sure that she made some very, very good investments. Even the Bible helps us to, enshrine those beliefs. In Proverbs 22, you see where it says, train up a child in the way that he should go. Why? So that when he is grown, he will not depart from it. I've made a list of 8 things I think you need to teach your kids while they are very, very young. So let's dive right in. Number one, the number one thing you must make sure as a duty and a responsibility to teach your kids early is their origin, your family tree, where you come from. Make sure you tell them stories about where they come from. That's why I love the Bible. It is a story of how and where we come from. Forget about evolution theory and all those things they taught us in science classes. Make sure you don't leave that responsibility to the teachers, to peer groups, to give your child their origin. Because your origin is where you form the concept of self, who you are, your identity. And for me, one of the easiest way to leave the origin of a child on them forever is through their names. Their names, your name is one of the ways to leave your origin on you. Don't just name kids after your favorite rappers. Don't name your kids after your favorite football player. No, give your kids name that speak of their origin. That's why I love my people. That's why I love Igbo people. You can hear an Igbo name and know the history and the struggles and the victory of the father just by the name of the child. It's really beautiful. One thing I would like to slip in is that even in the Bible, whenever God wanted to deal with people, he always changed their name. Okay, maybe if you're a Jacob, he made you an Israel. If you're an Abraham, he made you an Abraham. If you're a Saul, he made you a Paul. Okay, there's something about your name and your identity, who you are. The second thing that I want you to teach your kids very early is how to eat healthy. Eating is how we live. That's how we're going to sustain life. That's how we get our nutrients. We don't get our nutrients from photosynthesis. We don't get our nutrients from breathing. We get our nutrients from what we consume. So guess what? If you consume the wrong thing, you are not going to live healthy. You are going to die. And you need to teach your children that eating processed food Eating packaged food every time is not going to lead to a healthy life. We need to bring back those, old habits of having veggies. We need to bring back those old habits of eating home cooked meals from farm to pot. Anything that you want to eat should be from farm to pot. Teach your kids that. There's somebody that I'm very particular about in the Bible. His name is Daniel. He's my favorite Bible character. But one thing I loved about Daniel is that Daniel had a very healthy eating habit. I also want to talk about people who are beginning to shun water. I see that as a new trend. I had this cool friend back then. This lady was intentionally shunning water. She was like, she doesn't like the taste of water. And I was like, what are you talking about? Many years later, I run into her and she was very, very sick. I'm not trying to throw shades on her or anything, but this is true. She was very sick and she had stage 2 diabetes. And I was like, what? Something that started off cute. Something that she, I remember her, carrying her cocktail. She always had all this juice, all these flavored drinks. She didn't like water. She said she didn't like the taste of it. And now she's a burden to everybody that loves her. Now she's sick because nobody taught her how to eat healthy. Another good thing of eating healthy that you need to teach your kids is that it's going to help you save a lot of money. Yeah, because most of those junks and those things that you eat on the streets that are expensive are the things that harm you. But the things that, like water is like, is free, is running in the tap. I hope it's clean. Number 3, the next thing I want you to teach your kids very early in life is how to memorize stuff. I'm going to sit on this for a moment because this memorization really, really set me on this path that I'm on right now. I remember everything starting off for me when I was in high school, when my principal, Mrs. Wanko, called me out to recite Psalm 1 in the presence of the whole school. But what most people didn't know is that before we left school the previous day, she had called me privately and asked me to make sure that I know the entire Psalm 1 before the next morning. And I did. But that's not my point. What I'm trying to say is that scripture has lived with me all through hard times, all through my struggles. I run back to those memory verses that were dropped inside of me as a kid. You need to teach your kids how to memorize stuff, not just Bible verses, how to memorize your phone number. I seen a girl of 10 years old and she was stuck. I said, can I call your mommy? She doesn't know her mom's phone number by her head. I was so embarrassed. That's one of the first things you need to make sure your babies understand. Make sure they know how to commit things to memory. When they come back to school, you ask them, what did you learn today? Who beat you? Who helped you? Who said hi? Those things will help their memory. Teach your kids how to memorize stuff. Teach them early. Number 4, we need to teach our kids boundaries. Boundaries, that old, big, rugged word that we don't like to hear. We need to teach them. If you don't believe something, you don't have to be mad about people who don't agree with you. We need to teach our kids how to have boundaries, but we need to start with the family setting. You need to tell Junior, you can't hit your sister like that. You need to tell your baby, don't come to me for a cookie when I'm with my friends. Don't do that again. Don't try it. You need to learn to talk to your kids and tell them and teach them how to observe boundaries and then show them how to pay for the consequences when they break your boundaries. Send them to detention before a judge sends them to jail. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just trying to tell you that children need to learn these things early. 5, you need to teach your kids about sexual orientation. Ah, I am tired of seeing grown adults, professors, and doctors who cannot just answer a simple question: are you a male or a female? They can't take a simple box because people are beginning to lose sexual orientation. Make sure you teach your kids who they are. Tell them about, especially when they begin to grow pubic hair or they begin to grow, in their body. Start teaching them about sex education. If you don't do it, somebody else is going to do it on the sidewalk. Somebody is going to do it on the bus. Somebody is going to do it in the toilet. You have to make sure it is your duty and your responsibility to give your kids the orientation they need to know about their sexual life. Mom, I'm speaking to single moms now. You have no business taking a shower with your 7-year-old. You have no business. You need to make him understand that the boys go into the male bathroom and the females go into the female bathroom, and he cannot be having a shower with you because he's already beginning to understand the concepts of sexual orientation. Please teach your kids this early. Number 6 is you need to teach your kids the dignity of hard work. Make them understand how much you had to put in the work to get to where you are now. Most children are always, we're raising this generation of entitled kids who they just want to keep taking and taking. But guess what? You need to make sure they understand that you did a lot, you paid a lot of price to get to where you are right now. Okay? Excellent people pursue solutions while average people complain. The society we live in right now is, tend to emphasize more on entertainment above academics. Okay, the ball players in school get the placards and the awards, but then the best graduating students get a handbook or a clock. It's really a shame. But then, as a parent, make sure you emphasize academics over entertainment. Make sure you reward your kids who are doing well academically, just like you reward them if they won the Nigerian Idol or the American Idols, whichever. So, number 7 is respect for authority. I want you to teach your kids how to respect authority, not just your authority, but then the authority of every other person that they come in contact on their life's journey. I am tired of seeing black boys, especially black boys, being shot and killed by the police. I am tired of it. I am tired of seeing young black men actively rebellious in the face of hostility, in the face of somebody that could really hurt you and cause you harm. Is because nobody taught that young man how to respect. Children who don't know their ancestry are destined to repeat the mistakes of their parents. Make sure that you teach your kids how to respect authority, how to have their hands behind their back, how to say yes, sir, how to help old women at the grocery store. Teach your kids how to respect authority. Number 8, this is a short video by my standard. Finally, number 8, teach your kids kindness. The world needs a lot of kindness, a lot of kindness. Let your words feel like a gift and not a weapon. I always, not just kindness as it relates to giving, or money or food or drinks or clothes, but then your attitude, looking at strangers in the eye while you walk by, not judging people based on the chapter of life you met them, making them understand that the cross is where Jesus and the thief will meet. And if you saw Jesus for the first time at Calvary, you would have condemned him. But that's not the whole story. We need to teach our kids that they should be kind people. You can't talk to your brother like that. That kids learn kindness at home. It's very important that kids learn kindness at home. We have come to the end of this video. I'm very happy. I hope that you were blessed by this. I would like to also add that you never compare your kids to each other or to other children. I think this is something that my parents did very often, and it really breeded some sibling rivalry, and it was unnecessary. So please don't ever do that. And also, don't make the error of Rebecca. And I know you're wondering, what is the error of Rebecca? Rebecca had a favorite. Don't have a favorite child amongst your kid. Don't do that. Make sure them to turn to faith, even in the midst of their options. I pray you reap the fruit of your labor. I pray you live long to see your children like I have done. And I pray that you are blessed by watching this video.